Now, the 25th of November kicked off the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. Tonight on the show, we host a lady who was assaulted by not one, but two men. And she's brave enough to come on the show and share her experience. And what's different in her case is justice was served. And the men are now serving time for 15 years. Welcome to Unscripted with me, Grace Salame. Special thanks to Gramo Suits for hosting us today. Let the show begin. And welcome to Unscripted with me, Grace Salame. Like I mentioned earlier, this show is a sensitive one. So at home, as you're watching, let's all just send love this way to our beautiful guest, Wendy.
Yes.
Welcome to Unscripted.
Thank you so much for having me.
No, thank you for reaching out. Thank you for being brave and for sharing your story. So let's, if you don't mind, if you could take us back to last year, 2018, February 10th, was it? That, I don't know what to call it, fateful night, very unfortunate evening. If you could paint that picture, take us back to that day.
It was my birthday on the 10th of February.
Okay.
And the plan was to go out with my friends, have a good time, and go back home. But unfortunately, due to various reasons, things didn't go as I had planned.
All right.
So I ended up having to spend the night at a friend's house who happened to be one of my assailants.
So there was a friendship.
There was a friendship.
From before.
We were in the same university, actually.
I see.
Yes. So this is someone I knew. This is someone I trusted. And you know, when we got to the house, unfortunately, things took a turn for the worst. And
You said so it was just the two?
it was basically me and the two assailants, or rather the two men. But I was very familiar and I knew one of them, so I still
And you
felt
trusted him?
safe. Yes.
You felt safe?
And it was his house.
Okay.
So I knew him, and the plan was I just rest the night because it was pretty late, and then I was to leave the next morning.
I see.
But unfortunately, like I said, things didn't happen as I had planned, and unfortunately, I was assaulted and abused that night. Yes.
Wow. As it was happening, the assault, what thoughts are running through your mind?
I really didn't realize what was happening at first because I was unconscious, so I was slipping in and out of unconsciousness.
Did they drug you or were you unconscious?
I highly believe that they did, because I was very okay when I got there. I admit that, you know, it was my birthday and we had a few, but at the same time I knew I was aware of my surroundings. So it reached a point, you know, I just found myself in an uncompromising situation, and I didn't have the strength. I was confused on what was happening. So I was in and out of consciousness through a certain period of time. Until then I realized, okay, this is happening. I'm here. It's the middle of the night. I can't do anything. I can't go anywhere. So I just decided, okay, let's just keep quiet. I can't do anything. It won't last forever. So let's just wait till hopefully it'll end.
How long did it go on for, though?
I was pretty much the whole night. But I just remember waking up again. I wanted to sneak out and, you know, run away. But then again, it happened. So I just let the person do whatever they did. And then afterwards, that's when now I started to planning on how I was leaving.
So they both did?
Yes.
And each time you tried to escape, what would happen?
They would just try and, they were a bit of aggressive on their end. So I was also scared. I didn't want, you know, it to be too physical for me to handle, like you know, assaulting to get worse. So I just let them do whatever they wanted. I surrendered basically until, you know, they eventually stopped, and then that's when I decided, okay, then I need to leave.
So it was finally over.
Yes.
What happened then? What did they tell you? Was there any threats, apology? What happened?
They were normal. To them, they were normal. you know, they even thanked me, you know, they even said, you know, next time
Wendy,
you should come with a friend. But I kept quiet all through. I had cried. I remember during the night I was just in a very bad place. I was confused. So I remember when it all ended, I just called a friend, or rather I texted my friend.
Okay. So you reached out to someone immediately?
I reached out, yes. So I told my friend, you know, this has happened to me. I'm confused. I don't know what to do. Can we meet? Like, I don't even know what just happened, you know. So that's, at least my friend came through for me.
So the first thing you did was call someone?
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Then they picked you up?
Yeah, they picked me up.
Where did you go
Then my friend took me to at least get a change of clothes. And then we went to the hospital.
Oh, good.
Yeah, yeah.
So you went to, were you planning on reporting this to the police when you go into hospital?
By that time, I wasn't thinking straight. I was a mess. I was still in denial. It happened. I felt violated. I felt angry. I felt confused. So all these emotions are happening. So that's why I called out on someone to help me think straight. Because I was just, I didn't know anything. So my friend took me to hospital. I didn't know, you know, what is supposed to happen or what you're supposed to say. I just remember, you know, the doctor asked me, so what happened? Were you sick? I just told the doctor I was assaulted, I was raped. I don't know what to do. Yeah, okay. I was completely honest. Okay. And I think the doctor also was taken aback. I think he was shocked and confused. He didn't know how to handle the situation at that moment.
Why, what happened?
So basically, I just told him, you know, this happened a few hours ago. I was raped, and I don't know what you guys are supposed to do, but I'm just telling you.
Yeah, help me, pretty much.
Yeah. And he had to go and, you know, talk to the nurse to see, okay, how do we handle this story, or do we have like, from my knowledge, I know that they're supposed to have like a rape kit.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I don't think they had at that time. So they told me, okay, we don't have it right here, but we can send you, we can recommend a hospital you go to the next day. So,
really?
Yeah, by that time, I was like, you know what, this is too much. I just decided, let me go home.
So you didn't decide to go to another hospital?
No, by that time I was in a bad place. I was just, I wasn't in a good place. So I was so withdrawn. I was like, you know, let me just go home. I cry about it. I'll sleep. I'll probably get over it with time.
What stopped you from going to the police?
First of all, I just felt like, you know, this was my fault. You know, I brought it upon myself.
We do that as women.
Yeah, and I felt no one would believe me. I felt ashamed. I felt responsible. And then, you know, I knew, like, if I have to go to the police, I have to say detail by detail. And then I was just, I didn't see the need at that point. And I also felt it wouldn't go anywhere. Because based on the knowledge I had by that time, based on past cases, I don't think I'd ever seen someone get justice.
What did you need the most during that time, in hindsight now, looking back?
I think for me, I needed a safe space, but I wasn't sure if I would get that safe space if I was to open up.
I see.
So I was very scared, and I remember even to a point, I wanted to kill myself. I even tried killing myself. You know,
what did you do?
I bought a lot of pills, and I remember I know my family, they don't know this, but I really wanted to end my life at that point.
However, I don't know if it's say make it worse, because it's a paradox, or rather, considering what it was, you also discovered you were pregnant.
Yes.
At what point did you discover you were pregnant?
I think like 2-3 weeks later, because that was like my fear. I really prayed to God, like, if anything happens, like, let it not be worse than this, and it happened. And that was now like I think almost my breaking point. I was like, I cannot stay, I cannot live, you know, my life. I felt like my life was over. And for me, I love music so much. So I was really starting to have an upward trajectory in my career. And when it happened, I was like, I'm done, you know. I didn't have a feeling like I had a purpose. You know, I was questioning, even if I'm to bring this life, what will I tell my child? You know, I don't know who your father is. This is what happened. This is how you came to be. So I just had so many thoughts, and that was one of the reasons I felt I wanted to end my life.
It was too much.
Yeah, it was too much for me.
But even then, when you found out you were pregnant, what I found very brave about you is you were still, you made up your mind to bring this child to this world and give it love. You said that was an innocent baby.
Yeah.
How did you get to that point?
It was a journey, I'd say. At first, I didn't want to keep it, I won't lie, because I felt it was very unfair. But after, you know, talking to different parties, talking to even women who had been in the same situation, this is after I had broken the news online. Okay. They had reached out, they're like, you know, it's hard, I went through this, I have a child now, but you're gonna be okay. At first it was hard, but then I realized it's not really the child's fault. The child has nothing to do with this. So I said there's a reason God, you know, decided to bless me with this, as much as it was a very bad event. So yeah, I decided to keep the child. And it was a very difficult pregnancy because that was when now the story was really doing its rounds. A lot of people were on my case. I had to, you know, get out of social media. So I also was affected by that with the pregnancy. So it was very difficult.
So in fact, before we go on break, if you could talk about it, what happened to baby?
Around the 5th month of the pregnancy, unfortunately, I suffered a miscarriage, an unexpected miscarriage. And I remember I went to, we rushed to the hospital because it started happening at home. So by the time we got to the hospital, the doctor checked on me and they told me, okay, we have to, you know, remove the child because it's harmful to you right now. And the miscarriage had already started happening. So the doctor just said, this is due to the stress that you had, the environment that you were in. It wasn't as conducive as it should be for the child.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
But that's also another thing to deal with. I mean, at that point, 5-6 months, you're probably already feeling the baby, your body is changing. How was it dealing with that for you? Mourning and grieving a child?
That was, I think, the hardest part of everything. I mean, people were talking, you know, mean on social media. People were saying all sorts of things. But for me, I could handle that. Fine, it was hard, but I could handle that. But for me, again, losing the child and then going through that ordeal, because it was also painful, even physically, was that really took a huge blow on me. I couldn't even look at babies at some certain point.
I'm sorry. It's okay. It's okay.
It was
Take your time.
Thank you.
What helped you through that period?
My mom. Sorry, my mom really helped me. My family really came through for me. God came through for me because I remember when I was just, I got the news, then at least I healed and I went home and I just told God, this is at my bottom. I've never reached this point. I surrender everything to you. And he did. Yeah.
We'll take a short break. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Unscripted. Special thanks to Gramo Suits for hosting us, and of course to Wendy for sharing your very traumatic experience with us. Thank you for being brave. Speaking of sharing, you decided, I don't know how long after, I think a month after the ordeal?
It was like a month and a half.
A month and a half.
Yeah.
You decided to go public with this
Yeah.
news on social media. What led to that decision?
By that time, I think by that time I was very depressed. I have never been that depressed. I was very depressed. Like I said, I was withdrawn to everyone around me, my family, my close friends. So I wasn't talking to anyone. I wasn't eating. I was very, I had lost a lot of weight. So, and then I remember also a former classmate and friend had also gone through a similar ordeal, like I think a month prior to when mine actually happened. And I remember she shared her story and she got a lot of backlash online, and I just...
Did that scare you?
It scared me, and it also angered me a lot, because for me, I was very angry at the society and social media, how people are reacting. Like, how can you talk so bad to a victim when it's
after
not their fault? Yeah,
through.
after all they've gone through. So I think I didn't plan on sharing. I wasn't like, today I'm going to share my story. You know, it was very impulsive. And I was very angry. So even I was typing the story that I did,
you're frustrated.
I was just fast typing. I was just saying whatever was on my mind. And I remember saying, even in one of the stories that I shared, like, I'm not looking for pity or anything.
Yeah, I saw that.
At that point, I was just fired up and angry, and I didn't think of what would have happened. But I think I just shared it out of frustration.
Out of frustration.
Yeah.
And let's talk about the feedback after that.
Yeah.
How was it dealing with? There's a backlash and then there's support. How was it actually, the feedback?
When I shared, it just went viral immediately. I started getting a lot of calls, including, you know, the assailants, you know.
So they reached out?
Yeah, they reached out.
Before that, had they reached out at any
Before,
point?
I remember when I left, I told, you know, the one who was my friend, you guys took advantage of me, you guys raped me, and I was just frustrated, you know, how could you do this to me?
What did they say?
You know, they were like, you know, get a life, you know, go talk to your lawyer, leave us alone, all those things. So it also triggered, yeah. So I remember when I shared, one of them was like, okay, can we talk about this? You can pull it down, and all those things. And I was like, you know, it's too late for that. I believe someone needs to hear this, and it's out. But I didn't think it would be that big. I didn't think it would go that viral.
How was the effect after sharing and going public? How did your life change after that?
Oh,
at home and in society?
It honestly broke my family, which was one of the main reasons I really regretted sharing. It really broke them, but at the same time, it really, really helped us come together.
Because is that how they found out? Did you tell them before?
No, I didn't. I didn't. And that was, I tried, but then I didn't know how to. You know,
it's a hard conversation
it's
to have.
very hard. It's very hard. And I think that's another reason that triggered, because I didn't have a safe, or rather, I didn't allow myself to have this safe space that I wanted to talk about it. So that's one of the reasons, because I was so bottled up, I just exploded. But thankfully, my family is my family. They still accepted me, and they walked through with me through the whole journey. Even now, they're still my support system. You know, they look after me. Not only my mom and dad and sisters, but even my extended family, you know. My aunties, uncles, cousins. So I am so grateful that I have a very supportive family.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah.
And what's the big takeout, a lesson you learned when you shared your story like that? Society-wise, do you feel society supported or was there for you? Was it more of blame and shame?
Funny thing is, when I shared my story, a lot of women reached out to me.
Oh, good.
A lot of women. You know, they're like, I've gone through this, thank you for speaking up. Even some, they told me their stories and I cried, because you'd really think mine was bad, but when you hear some of the stories, you're just like, how are you even walking right now? How are you even alive right now? So many are depressed, so many are scared to come out, so many, even men were reaching out. They're like, you know, for me as a man, I can't share this because of the society, the judgment. So it was very eye-opening, but at the same time, I also got a lot of hate. And surprisingly, I got a lot of hate from women.
As well?
As well.
What kind of hate? What would they say?
Just, you know, you asked for it, you know, what were you wearing? What were you doing? What do you expect?
Why were you there?
Exactly, why were you there? So it really broke my heart and it really affected me. But then I just decided, you know what, people will always talk. Let me just try and focus on that one girl who is just like, thank you for sharing.
Yes.
Thank you for speaking up. Yeah.
And for you, through this experience, hard as it is, what's been your big takeout and lesson about you as Wendy?
Just like we had talked earlier, there's this one quote that I live by, and is, if you don't fight, silence will kill you. Yeah. And
Isn't that the truth?
that is the truth for my story, because I actually don't regret what I did now. I don't. It's been a journey. I've met so many people. I've seen a lot of things, and I'm happy. Maybe the means of which I used were not the best at the moment, but I'm happy with the journey that I've gone through, because now I'd say I'm stronger than ever.
And before we go on a break, you mentioned, because I just said that you didn't have the money and the means, but you told me earlier before we began, is you did reach out to organizations like FIDA. Tell us about how that was like, surprisingly.
At first we didn't get the support we needed at first, but then later on, you know, organizations like FIDA came through, LSK, Law Society of Kenya came through. Okay. Even the government actually came through, because they they provided a prosecutor for my case.
Yes, they did.
So at first it was hard, but I was so grateful that things started working out in the legal process.
When you shared your posts, I could tell you were not sure how things would turn out. Indeed, and I understand it from a place of frustration. And you had lost hope in our judicial system and society. You knew they would get off scot-free, but that wasn't the case. They're now facing, or they've been sentenced to 15 years imprisonment, which is not just the first time in Kenya, but Africa. That's huge, Wendy.
On the first count of gang rape, to serve 15 years imprisonment. Similarly, the secondly accused person on the count of gang rape, that's the second count, is equally sentenced to serve 15 years imprisonment. The complainant in this case was traumatized and will live with this harrowing experience for the rest of her life, hence a deterrent sentence is necessary.
When you heard the ruling, how did you feel?
My mom called me, she told me the news, and I was like, what, are you sure? Is that the same case that we have?
Because where were you at this time?
That time I was actually preparing to leave for Uganda, because I had a show performing. And I was in shock. I was like, are you sure? You know, even my mom was like, wait, don't you want such good news? You know, because I was in denial. For me, I knew, as much as I was very grateful for the support in terms of legal process I was getting, I knew, or rather I was so sure, I'm not going to win this case. I'm not. But, you know, it happened that they were found guilty, and I remember I cried tears of joy, and I just prayed. I was just thankful to God, you know, because finally, it was very, the process was very long. The process was, because of my music, because I was slowly, you know, rising up in my career. In the process, I lost a lot of opportunities, a lot of contracts, a lot of good deals that would have helped my career. And I was just thanking God that, fine, I might have lost everything, but it's over in a good way. You know, it was worth it.
Did this bring closure?
For me, definitely. Definitely. I was very happy. I was very elated. I was so thankful. Yeah, and when I went to Uganda, I had the best show, I'd say.
You had the best show.
I had the best show, yeah. Yeah.
In fact, as we wrap up this part, if you could talk to a girl at home or someone who's gone through something, and if you could, because of counseling, I think it's very important for us to get into a culture where we are not afraid to break the culture of silence and seek help, not just tell anyone your story, but someone you can trust. So if you could point out a few, could be top 3 lessons or takeouts you took from the counseling experience that you could tell someone at home.
What I'd tell them is be open. Be ready to be open as well to receiving whatever the person is telling you.
Right.
Just be open to whatever the person is telling you, and accept whatever you're feeling. If it's anger, if it's blame, just all those different emotions.
Don't push it down.
Don't push it down, don't ignore. Just accept them and feel them if you have to, because it's part of the healing journey. And you also have to constantly work on yourself.
You do.
It's a never-ending journey, because as much as I'm here today telling my story, there are days that I wake up and I just want to cry because I remember everything and I feel overwhelmed. But at the same time, I'm like, no, I have to get up, I have to do this, I have a purpose, I have to live, so it's a journey that never ends, and you have to take it as it comes.
Welcome back to Unscripted. Thank you for staying tuned and keeping us company. Wendy, again, thank you for sharing your story. And like we said earlier, what has happened in your case is groundbreaking. Having a ruling like that, not just in Kenya, but Africa, is huge. So for you, do you think these are steps forward in ending rape culture, where we are communicating to people that our actions do have consequences at the end of the day?
I do believe so. Like I said, I was very shocked with the ruling because it was a first, especially for cases over 18.
Yes.
So I was very elated. It put hope in me that actually the judicial system is doing something positive, and they actually take the time to listen to both sides, presented both sides of evidence, and they take action. So for me, it was a very positive outcome that happened. So I'd say, yes, we still have a long way to go in terms of, awareness of how to handle when such a thing happens to someone. Like, what do you do? Where do you go? So even when you know the process is, okay, it's happened to me, I need to go to hospital, I'm not supposed to shower, or I'm supposed to go to the police first.
Yes.
There's that...
we still need to keep having those conversations.
Exactly.
Okay.
And even how police handle a victim.
Even the hospital. I mean, how they handled you.
Exactly. Like, we need to have a lot of education and awareness of how these different people, because they play a very important role in the whole process, how we can handle a victim, how we can, treat them. Like, it's okay, feel safe, tell us step by step. This is the whole process. Do you have a legal team? Sometimes people don't have even finances to look for a lawyer, or, even, so many things. So I think we need to find a way of educating the public of this is the due process, and hopefully a positive outcome will come out of it.
Why do you feel, because you said when you shared your story, so many other people, even your own friends, came out and said, hiya, me too.
Yeah.
Why do you feel the rape culture is so rife and just, what are we doing wrong and what can we do right?
There's a lot of things that I'd say contribute to rape being used to put women down. I'd say patriarchy is like one of them. Rape most of the time is used as a powerful tool to put women down and even men down. So I'd say we have to look at how we treat our women in society. Most of the time women are objectified. We're put in a, the role of a woman is already outlined, so for you to you're not supposed to speak out. You're supposed to keep it to yourself. If it happens to you, you live with it. it happens to women, so just deal with it. We need to change such attitudes, such thinking, because a woman can't come up if they know people will judge me, they'll blame me, they'll say it's my fault because of what I'm wearing. No, it has to change. And it has to start from a very young age, where we teach, our children, both boys and girls, respect one another. This is the real meaning of consent. This is what it means, because I had even married women,
Yes, it happens.
Yeah, telling me, I was raped, my husband, does this, or so many things.
As long as both parties are not on the same page.
Exactly. So I think we really need to understand what consent is, and we need to understand what each person has, their role in the society. Yeah, so there's a lot of issues that we need to address as a society.
I think we need to go back to our men, our boys, brothers.
Yeah.
The natural instinct should be to protect the woman, not to harm the woman.
Exactly.
It would be great if we could get back there.
Yeah.
And what do you feel, in hindsight, as women, what can we do to take our power back? Because like you said, people will throw blame, or don't wear this, don't go there, just women don't do this, that, and so many other things. As a woman, how can we take our power back and know that we, I don't know if my question makes sense, but I feel like, because I feel like putting all the blame on us takes the power away from us.
Yeah.
How can we take our power back?
We need to continue speaking up. Okay. Look at the effects of Me Too movement. Yeah. It has really changed a lot. Now women are more vocal. Yeah. Now women are like, you can't do this, you have no right. So I think we need to keep on speaking, and we need to be really united. We do. Because like I said, like I said, when I shared, the people who are really coming against me are women. So I was really confused, why. So we need to really be our own strength, our own sisters. We need to really fight this. And even the men, it's not just us, even the men, we need to support one another. And the men also need to take accountability. Not every man is bad. Not every man has, negative intentions. But we need to take the responsibility as a whole. Yeah.
So Wendy, through this whole experience, what have you learned about yourself as Wendy?
I learned a lot about myself during this whole thing. But I'd say the one that stood out was, even for me to go through this whole thing, I was very strong. But like I said, it wasn't my strength, it was God.
He was God?
He was God. And I still owe him for everything. So, I'd say I've come a long way.
You've come a long way.
Yeah.
What has been most instrumental for you in your healing journey?
Music.
Music.
Music is my love. I will forever love music. And music is a calling, and I accepted the calling. Okay. And I know God gave me this gift for a purpose. And, with all this that happened, it just, everything fell into place, because at least I managed to write a very strong song. I'd say it's very strong and personal, because it was a very emotional process.
Of course.
I remember I was writing the song with the help of Dex from Heart the Band. And I was crying in between the session. It was very emotional. Just trying to capture my story in words and lyrics and melodies. And I managed to write a very beautiful song with the help of Dex called Huru.
Oh, nice.
And I collaborated with State House Girls, nice. And it was such a beautiful experience, just singing with the girls, even telling them my story and hearing from them, young girls. So, I felt music really helped me. Music
it's cathartic for you?
Yes, it helped me heal. It helped me find my voice again. And I have so much in store. So
you do?
Yeah.
There's lots more from Wendy.
Yes, so I'm so grateful for the gift of music and the gift of family.
I love how, I know in life when rock bottom, it seems like the complete end. But look at God, when you hand it over to Him, there's a flip that happens, and then in that pain, you sort of find your purpose. Now you're speaking to young girls, your music is richer, if I could say that.
It is.
So it's Somehow all things work out for the good, don't they?
Funny thing.
Will we get to hear you sing?
Oh, now.
As we wrap, I'd like to know, how is Wendy now? How are you doing now?
I'm so good right now. Like, I might not look like I'm happy, but I'm very happy. I'm very content. I live life as it comes these days. And like I said, God is always at the forefront of everything that I do. God, family, music. So those are.
And did that happen even more after the experience?
Exactly. Yes.
If you get out in life, what's important?
I'd say those three things. Right now, no one can tell me anything, or no one can try and cross me over.
Really?
Because, you know,
God's
I'll
on your
cross
side.
with them, you know, and God is on my side.
Yeah.
So I'd say I'm so much stronger right now and so positive. And yeah.
Seeing after what's happened and now you're going back and helping society, what does that do to you on the inside?
I feel so good. I feel so happy. Right now, I'd say it's not even about me anymore. It's about, you know, going out there and telling girls, like, this is what happened to me, but, you know, it ended well.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to feel afraid, you don't have to keep quiet.
Yeah.
You know, it can happen to you as well. And also, this is a story that I want to help others prevent, you know, this from occurring in their lives, you know, just to share them, just to share with them, you know, you need to protect yourself at the end of the day. Despite everything, you still need to be aware of wherever you are, who you're with, who you trust. And despite everything, you're still going to be okay.
Thank you so much. We wish you all the very best, my dear.
Thank you so much for having me.
May God continue just giving you the strength. And thank you for speaking up for women. And to those at home who may have gone through similar experience, you can get Wendy if you need to speak to her. Thank you so much for watching the show. Let's remember to be sensitive with one another. Let's show kindness and love first before anything else. And have yourselves a fantastic week.